Hi guys, I'm Stevie, and this is a disclaimer. Well, this is a mug, but this is a disclaimer.
Ooh.
Today I'm doing a video with my friend Jimanekia. Jimanekia is a sexual trauma expert, teaches comprehensive sex ed ages K through 12, and does healthy sexuality consulting for TV and film. And we're gonna be talking about how to have sex after experiencing sexual assault. We'll be discussing step-by-step ways to engage in healthy sexual activity, protect yourself, and ask for what you need. We're also gonna talk about how to be a good ally to a survivor of trauma. So if you're ever planning on having sex with a survivor, pay attention. So, in order to talk about these very sensitive subjects, we'll also be using some very sensitive language surrounding sexual assault and abuse. If you are not in a place to hear this type of language, I totally get it. Subscribe and bookmark it for when you are ready, or just come back for the next video. See you then. And since you won't be around for Jimanekia's gems, oh my god, did I just make that up? Follow her on Instagram. And now's the perfect time to bring up this video's sponsor, BetterHelp, aka an online counseling service. And more specifically, my personal online counseling service that I actually have been using for a while. I really love BetterHelp because for me, I'm looking for a very specific set of skills that a therapist might need. I personally need someone who has experience with trauma and anxiety and LGBT stuff and also non-monogamy. So someone that is specialized in all of those things might not be hard to find, might not be cheap enough, might not be able to accept any new clients. If you're not somewhere where you have access to that, like Los Angeles, like I am, maybe you don't have any therapists that specialize in LGBT stuff, you're able to have access to someone with those expertise through an online counseling service, and mine just happens to be BetterHelp. Basically, put what you're looking for, anything that you want to list, and it's kind of like an ad that you post for yourself, kind of. So they just match you with a counselor or therapist that fits your needs. It usually happens like in less than 24 hours, which is really cool. And then you can fire them whenever you want, which is like my favorite. When someone says something I don't like, I'm like, okay, fired. It takes a lot more energy for me to fire someone in real life. Click a button, bye, next, and then have a new one in 24 hours instead of having to like go out and search for one myself. I just really wanted to tell you guys about BetterHelp because it's been helping me a lot and I think it could help you. Doesn't everyone need therapy, but especially those who have been through trauma. Also, I can like call or text or Skype or whatever with my therapist or email instead of having to like go into an office. Love it. So this is technically an ad, but I reached out to them because I want every single person to know about this service because I love it so much. There's a link in the description. You can click and sign up and let me know how it works for you. So let's hear what Jimanekia has to say. So to start off with, how do you know that you're ready to have sex after experiencing something like sexual assault or rape?
I think it's different for everyone. I think everyone's healing process is different. You have to figure that out for yourself, which means like you have to have gone through different techniques to be like, you know what? Maybe I'm ready.
What advice would you give to someone who wants to be an ally?
So being an ally is someone that truly understands what kind of world that we're in, that there is a lot of sexual assault around us, and like acknowledging that, and also acknowledging that that's not okay and that you want to do something about it instead of just being a random bystander that's just like, oh, it's a thing. An ally is someone that actually continues getting educated, continues educating others, and also is very supportive.
Now for those of y'all that like lists, like me. Oh, you rang? Right. Sorry, for all the Capricorns in the room, Jimanekia has some list of do's and don'ts. Don't demand to know the details of what happened. Don't force your opinions or views on them. Do not question why they haven't moved on from this yet. Do not make this about you. Don't out them to other people. All survivors are not public. Do not quote things you've seen off of movies. Don't question the survivor. Do not give unwanted advice, safety tips, or explanations. I actually respond better if you tell me exactly what to do so that I know in advance if I'm gonna fuck it up. If there's a chance I'll fuck it up, I just won't leave my house. I literally hate all horoscopes. This list of do's and don'ts is super helpful not only for the ally, but as a survivor, you'll be able to see if they line up to those things, and so that you don't accidentally fuck a pile of garbage. And you want to make sure that they're gonna listen to your needs, and piles of garbage can't listen at all because they don't have fucking ears or respect for you. One time, my ex, when I told her about my rape, she told me it wasn't really rape because I didn't fight hard enough.
I don't know what that means. She sounds like not a great ally.
Yeah, so that's an example of not being a good ally. And I had to take a Xanax right before filming this. This video's not sponsored by Xanax though. Okay, bye.
Good got you, babe. Okay.
Huge trigger warning, and a lot of the stuff people have actually said to me. Why are you so jumpy all the time? I'm not that person. I told you to not even go out that night. I don't understand why you keep crying. I totally get it. Here's what happened to me when I was assaulted. Yeah, P.S. absolutely do not share your trauma story with someone unless you've asked them if you can share it with them. It is so triggering for someone, especially if they might not be ready to hear that right now. They might not have the emotional energy to take that on. And to another survivor, this is one of the most triggering things you can do. So, the list. So, do be open to listening. Be aware of your implicit biases. Do only what is asked of you and not what you think should be done. Know that someone is trusting you. Believe them. Help them find resources, whatever type that they might need. Support them and help them do things that make them feel like themselves. Speak up and support survivors when they are not around. Remind them that it's not their fault. And be patient. I'm sorry, I know things are different. Is there anything I can do or not do to help support you? Hey, this is not your fault. You did not ask for this to happen to you. This has been a lot. Is there anything you need from me right now? I've had a similar experience, and I know how difficult and traumatizing it can be. You don't have to tell me anything, but know that I am here for you, and you're not alone. The last thing on Jimaneka's list was, do educate yourself about sexual and intimate partner violence and begin to understand the impact that it has on the individual, relationship, community, and societal levels. If you're trying to support survivors of sexual assault, you better learn how to support survivors of sexual assault. One great way to do that is asking for consent. Always asking for consent forever till you die. Thanks.
Yeah, I think everyone handles like being a survivor differently. I think that's why it's really important for consent, because sometimes they can be like, you know what, can we just do the thing? I think that is a different form of consent.
Yeah.
I mean, if you start out your conversation or your relationship and you're like, hey, I personally would love to tell you yes right now in this moment because I trust you, and that's giving the consent to do the situation. Some people are like, hey, when we're doing this position, can you check in? Other than that, we're good to go. So because consent can be given and taken at any time. So if you need to check in with someone, that can just be your consent. But knowing what you need, I think is the most important part.
Consent, that's like, it's like permission, right? It's exactly like permission. Interesting. I really like to, how do I put this? Do exactly what I want when I want it without really involving anyone else in my decision making or even considering how it might affect them. So how do I still do that? You should never have sex. A really sexy way to ask for consent is to tell someone what you want to do to them. And then if they give you the go-ahead, like, I would love you to do that to me too, then you get the go-ahead. Telling someone what I want to do to them does sound controlling enough to still be hot. Of course you think that. It's also important for you as a person who has experienced trauma to talk about your boundaries before you have sex. So say you've been in a romantic relationship where asking for consent wasn't a huge part of your sexual experiences. How can you start to do that in a way that doesn't feel unnatural or bad or whatever?
First, you have to be patient with yourself, because you never know like how it's really gonna go, and you may start to have the conversation and be like, you know what, maybe I need to come back to this. But overall, you really need to figure out like what your needs are so you can ask for them. And having that conversation, it may be hard, but you can set it up so it's like, hey, there's this thing I'd like to talk to you about. Throwing it out like in a casual way may be helpful, but also being firm in like what your needs are. But you still have to learn what your needs are. But being patient with yourself while you're doing all this, it's extremely important.
As the person who has been through assault and wants to get to fucking again, you have to take on the responsibility of asking for what you need. If you aren't at least ready to be clear about some of the things you need, you might want to wait a little bit before you jump back in. And what if I like to communicate silently? I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I literally hate all horoscopes. So if you don't want to actually talk about it, a cool workaround would be for you to tell your partner, if I don't want your head a certain way, I will move your head away. So say you're a survivor and you want to get into something casual that's not so much deep or serious or whatever. When and how should you, or like how do you have that conversation with people, or do you have to?
You don't have to disclose anything to anyone that you're not ready to. But when you are ready, I think it's important for yourself to state like, hey, these are my hell yeses and these are my hell nos. Like putting that down in the beginning and letting them know like what you're down to do and what you're not down to do. And then also being like, hey, also, can you just check in with me while we're doing things is really important. Like holding your space and knowing like what feels good to you and what doesn't.
It is possible to be unexpectedly triggered. So communication is extremely important through all of this. If you don't feel safe, it might be best to communicate to your partner that now might not be the right time. Literally anything can trigger you, so it's important that you're having sex with someone who understands. Or at the very least, won't make you feel embarrassed or weird about wanting to stop. Also, it's kind of hard when you've experienced trauma to remember that sex can be fun. Like rougher sex or kinky sex, how do you start to do that again, maybe after you've already done all of the checking in and training your new ally partner?
So I think it's really important to have a safe word, something easy that you can remember. Something like green, red, yellow. Like
those are good ones.
These simple, basic ones, and knowing what those mean to you, and also making sure your partner knows these are your things and what that means. Trying different things and then easing into things that are harder and still checking in, because you're a great ally now and you know how to do consent and check-ins. So check in as you do different things, like, hey, can I tie you up? Cool, like where would you like to tie me up? Great, I would love to be tied up with my wrist behind my head.
You might be dealing with a lot of things that seem confusing, and like Jimanekia said, it's normal. It's all normal.
It's normal.
Trust yourself, have patience with yourself, try shit alone, and if someone is questioning your needs, bye! Hey, why wasn't I in this video? Thank you so much for watching. Thanks so much to Jimanekia for her brilliance. Follow her on Instagram. I want to keep making videos talking about stuff like this, and all of these video topics are coming from the questions that you guys send me, so leave some in the comments about future videos and things you want me to talk about. And thanks so much to BetterHelp for sponsoring and letting me tell all of you guys about them. If you're considering any version of a counselor or therapist, literally just click the link in the description. Shout out to my patrons! I'm about to send some more packages in the mail, and one of you is getting ziggy. Thank you to Aaron, Alyssa, and Arena for supporting me on Patreon. See you guys next time. Bye. Jealousy feels like a shockwave over my entire body. Then little slightly painful tickles in my side. And it's super hot to be like, hey, we should fuck super hard, but be really quiet about it. This says to say happy retrograde, but like Mercury is not in retrograde. Your coping mechanisms are, you know?